we still laugh at night with each other. Even if like we had the hardest day, or we're laughing, or we're just finding a way to stay connected, which I really appreciate.
Welcome to Love Stories, a relationship podcast for successful women, where we talk about love, dating, relationships, and how great love stories are made. Whether you're searching for the one, you're madly in love, or simply curious about romantic relationships, this podcast is for you. I'm Charlene Byars. Each week, you'll hear from women, couples, and experts, and all the ins and outs on how to create your own love story. I am so passionate about this subject, and I'm so excited to share all the things that you can apply to create a beautiful love story of your own. Cheers to great love. Well, hello. Welcome back. All right. I just want to say, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and we were talking about like what it is in terms of like taking care of yourself, like what we need to do. But first off, I just want to say, I am not a health or fitness coach. I'm an empowerment feminine embodiment practitioner who specializes in the matters of the heart through dating and relationship. And as a certified empowerment coach, I help women on the emotional scale to raise their self-worth and connect to joy. One thing that is essential is that you take very good care of yourself, your mind, your thoughts, and your body, because it's essential that you take care of ourselves, meaning we do the things that we need to do to take care of our well-being. It's important that we move our body every day, eat foods that give us energy and make us feel great. Take really good care of yourself. Get the sleep you need, drink the water, and lift the weights. Do all the things, because our health is everything. Science has proven that by contracting your muscles, you secrete hormones into your bloodstream that make you resilient to stress and protect you from depression. Walking, running, dancing, lifting weights, nearly any daily activities works for this. Here's the deal. We can be a billionaire, we can find the right man, but without good health, nothing else will matter. And the truth is, when you feel great, you vibrate higher and you're in a different vibration. And that is the best feeling ever. Let's talk about the tip of the week, which is connect with your intuition. Our bodies are constantly communicating with us, and it's important to learn how to listen to our intuition in order to make decisions that are in alignment with our deepest desires. Take some time to practice turning into your intuition through practices such as meditation, journaling, or simply taking a few deep breaths and asking yourself what your body is telling you. When you learn to trust and follow your intuition, you'll find that you attract people and experiences that are in alignment with your true desires and values. Follow your intuition to guide you. Remember, the key to feminine embodiment is to cultivate a deep connection with your body and allow your intuition, your inner wisdom, to guide you in relationships and in life. I am so thrilled to welcome our next guest to the show today, Jordan Gill. Jordan is a 7-figure business strategist whose mission is for high-achieving business owners to prioritize rest without sacrificing revenue. Her specialty is helping coaches and consultants leverage their time with VIP days. She's happily married to her husband, Marcus, and together they are raising Marcus's 9-year-old son, Cullen. Jordan's other interests include jigsaw puzzles, going to the lake, and traveling the world. What I loved about the conversation I had with Jordan is she was a woman who allowed herself to trust her gut, her intuition, look inwards and see how she's showing up. And although she has been guarded in the past, she was able to be vulnerable, let go of control, and allow her man to pursue her. So with no further ado, Jordan Gill. Well, hello, Miss Jordan. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yes, that's nice.
First of all, thank you for being here. Like, seriously, thank you for being here. And thank you for coming on this show and, sharing your story and your love story today. And I can't wait to get into that. But I was thinking about something.
Yeah.
Even before we start getting into the actual story, I was thinking when you were, let's go back, Mama. When you were a little girl, what was life for you? And was, how did you used to think about, all of us little girls have our own little thoughts and fantasies about marriage. Some don't, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
But when you were a little girl, two things I want to ask you. What did you used to think about, when you grew up and about love?
Mm-hmm.
And what was actually life for you? Like, how did you grow up, Mama? Like, where did you come from? Did you grow up with a mom and a dad? Yeah. Did you have brothers and sisters? Like, let's start from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in a pretty typical middle class family. We did move a lot growing up. So I moved 12 times, went to 3 different high schools. So that part was a little abnormal. But as far as...
Hold on. Let me ask you that question. Yes. You actually went to 3 different high schools?
Yeah, it was wild.
So go for it. So just break that down real quick. I just want to visualize this. So freshman year, like what happened here?
Yeah, so freshman year, so I had lived in Nebraska for some years and went to freshman year of high school in Nebraska. And then we moved to Green Bay, Wisconsin for my sophomore year. But midway through my sophomore year, my dad got a different job in Buffalo, New York. And so I only was in Green Bay for like 6 or 7 months. And then I moved to Buffalo, New York. And I was there for 2.5 years and I graduated high school there.
Okay. So that to me is telling me just quickly, but I don't know yet, that, it was probably like hard because you couldn't really establish yourself and meet friends, and then you would meet friends and then you would move. Okay.
Right.
So now you're going to high school. You had to, accept the moving, but you live with your mom and your dad?
Yep. My mom and my dad. Yep. They're still married today. Still, they're kind of what I like to call like the punch in the throat kind of love, where you're like, I'm annoyed at how much you guys love each other. And I don't know if I can have that, So that was my mentality growing up. Is my parents had matching Jeeps, both had white Jeeps. They,
hold on, Jordan. No, get out of here.
They were that.
So couple. You actually grew up. Okay, this is fabulous. So you actually grew up with. Okay, did you have any brothers and sisters first?
I have one sister. She's about 5 years younger than me.
She's younger, so you're the oldest.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you honestly grew up with parents that were like just completely in love. So you grew up with parents, that loved each other, respect each other. Yes. And so that to you was almost a little pressure. You thought, oh shit, how am I going to have that?
It was a lot of pressure. I kind of thought of it like the Cinderella syndrome, where I never saw them argue. I never saw them like overcome any adversity in front of me. And so then in my relationships as I grew up, like if somebody started an argument with me, I was like, okay, well, we're done. We're breaking up. Like we're not supposed to argue, because it's like I've never saw my parents argue and they're happy. So it's interesting because so many people are like, I saw my parents fight all the time and all that stuff. And there is a negativity around that as well. But I think that there's really benefit in seeing conflict be resolved like in front of you as a child. That, again, I didn't necessarily see, not because it wasn't happening, but because my parents did make that choice. And I've spoken to them about it since then. They did make that choice where they were not, my mom didn't even like nag my dad in front of me. Like she didn't like nip, none of that stuff. And so I was like, what is happening? So
you almost felt like, So, okay. I love that you're talking about this. This is really cool. This is actually really good. So you almost felt like there was like this like perfectionist, like I have to be like perfect. Like maybe relationships are perfect. Okay, girlfriend, let me ask you this. Yeah. How did that play a role? Like how old were you when you actually, started dating? Were you young, like 15, 16?
Yeah,
what
like
was your
16,
age? And
16-ish.
About 16. Okay.
Yeah.
How did that play a role? A
lot of short relationships. did not last very long because I did not understand how to compromise. I didn't understand that you're not going to be 100% on the same page with this person all the time. And so again, I was just very distorted in how I thought about relationships. And so my relationships were short, really, up until the relationship with my now husband. But, you know, I couldn't get to that point because I hadn't seen it, you know, in front of me. I didn't see it played out, right? I didn't see okay, we're not on the same page. And then, okay, we're compromising and we still love each other, right? I didn't see the whole arc. So it was tough. Thing. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, that actually says a lot. That says a lot because it's not, you know, everyone does whatever they need to do. And our parents, you know, bless all of us, like seriously, totally. I know, girlfriend, I'm a mother of a lot of children and I get it. So, and my mother, I always tell her, you want to hear this? Honestly, like my mother, I adore my mother. I love her. She's honestly a great human being, but she was terrible when we grew up, meaning like she had no idea also I mean, the majority of us don't, but she didn't know what the hell she was doing. And she, you know, my mother went into the opposite of your mother. My mother went into toxic relationships and that's what I saw. I'm like, oh my gosh. That just plays a role because I really think us as little girls, right? Like us as little girls, depending on how we grew up, what we saw, what we didn't saw, all of that starts to get wired in our system. And then we go out into the world and the majority of us, right? We're like clueless. We're like, I don't know. It almost looks like you feel, oh, here it goes. Jordan, listen, it's like you come from a jungle. Like seriously, you come out of a jungle and you're like, what do I do now? I just came out of the jungle. How do I do this relationship? Okay, totally. So you're thinking, okay, what is up? I'm young, you know, I like these guys. You know, they're not lasting that long.
Yeah.
Was it an issue for you or when did it finally like kind of become an issue for you? When did you like think, how old were you when you're like, something's, something, I don't know.
Not working out.
What's going on? It's not working out.
I would say probably like 25, 26 was probably when I was like, okay, something isn't clicking. And I'm the common denominator, obviously, of all my relationships. And so I think it was a combination of the perfectionism seen in my parents and not seeing conflict, but also, again, like I said, I moved a lot. So I didn't have attachment to anything. I didn't attach to things. I didn't attach to people. I didn't attach to anything because at any given time, right, when I'm growing up, my dad could come in the room and say, hey, we're moving to here. You've got a month. Hope you enjoyed your friends. Bye. Right. So I think the combo of not seeing the compromise and moving so much really, I'm an avoidant attachment. And so, which is not a surprise. And so in therapy, which I am a huge advocate for, I really recognize
ladies, that I'm so happy that she said that. And I know you're, for those of you who are listening, you're probably wondering a little bit about attachment styles and what she meant by that.
Yeah.
So I teach that, but can you just give them a little bit of information about, what you learned about yourself so they can have a little reference here?
Totally. Okay. So, there's different types of attachments. Again, Charlene is the expert, but so far, what I had learned was that you have avoidant attachment, which is what I am, and I'll explain. There's anxious attachment, which is the complete opposite. And then there's secure attachment, which is ideally where you get to, right? It's like where you want to go.
That's where you want to balance it out. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Exactly. And so generally speaking, a lot of times, like an avoidant attachment will attach to an anxious attachment and they will get together and it's very interesting. So
no, you know what? Tell them why it's interesting. Because when in conflict, let's just go there. In conflict, one is like, we're going to work this out. We're going to talk about it right now. We're going to talk about it. You love me. And the other one's like, oh, hell no. We need space. Let me have a little time. You know what I mean? Like, so it is completely, and it is what it is. There's no wrong or right.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is. But when you have one that has one and the other one has, it's a conflict.
Yep, exactly. And so my husband,
what happens is
my husband is anxious attachment. I am the avoidant attachment, which I think is, I don't want to say rare, but it's usually the opposite. I found, and a lot of my friends are anxious attachments. So I don't know if I just collect anxious attachment people.
It's okay.
It's fine. So me as an avoidant, like you said, I need space to process. I can't come to a conclusion or a compromise usually in that moment because I haven't fully thought everything through. And so if I feel like I can't think everything through, then I think that we're coming to a compromise without actually thinking about my feelings or actually thinking through what happened. And so again, I think that my husband and I have worked really well together in figuring that out. And what the balance of that is, which is, different for every person. But that was what I learned in therapy was I'm an avoidant attachment. So again, if you come at me with your anxiety or your anxious attachment, I'm immediately going to either say, you either give me space or get out.
Yep.
So
that was what was happening with you. Yeah. So that's what was before you even knew that about yourself or you even knew all this.
Yeah.
That's what was happening with you with relationships, right?
100%.
Like probably the person would want it, whatever that was. And you were immediately like, oh no, we are not doing this. Okay. Wait, no, that makes sense. Mama, I'm telling you, ladies, isn't this so relatable? Like for you or they're listening right now, that's so relatable, right? Like if you find yourself in that sense of really having a hard time with that type of conflict or that type of intimacy or not really knowing, what is going on and not knowing that about yourself, knowing that I gotta slow this down. I gotta process a little differently.
Yeah.
Okay. So so you're in your 20s and you're like 26, you said, and then you started noticing prior to this, when you're thinking about, you're young and you're going, off into the world and you're getting older, what was your view on life in sense of relationships and were you a lady thought I do want to get married and have kids or you're not so much or were you more dreaming of a career or were you both at the same time? I want to know what your mindset and your thought process was back then.
Yeah, I was on the mindset of Oprah Stedman. Where Oprah is doing her thing and her boo Stedman is doing his thing and they have separate houses, but they're happy and they are technically exclusive to each other, but it's not a big deal. That was kind of what I looked for because I really loved my independence. And again, I wanted that space. I needed the space and I wanted to be able to retreat to my house. We'll talk tomorrow. You go to your house and we have that sort of scenario.
Yeah.
I'm being honest. Yeah. That's
totally. And then the guys are no.
Right. That's not going to happen.
They're really? No. Yeah. But if that makes sense to me, if that's was what you were thinking.
Yeah.
Were you thinking back then that you wanted to get into a career and do all that stuff? Where were you back then thinking wise? I want to have my space. I want to be independent. I don't know what you wanted to do back then. I want to be an astronaut, whatever that was. Was that your mindset?
Yeah. So at 26 was when I started my business. And so I went into entrepreneurship, and before that I was the second in command of an 8-figure online women's business, and whatnot, women's business. And it was awesome and a great experience. And then I was ready to go out on my own. So I was very independent in my career and turning it more into the business side of things. And so that also probably played a role of just I'm good. I'm 100% responsible. There's no boss that's giving me paychecks. I'm in control of all of my money coming in, right? If I don't sell, I don't eat. So it was a bit of control as well that I wanted in my relationships. I was definitely that girl that would send my Google Calendar and say, get in where you fit in. Basically, I'm not going to go back and forth with you when date night is. Here's my schedule. Here's access.
Is it. Yeah.
You plug yourself in because I'm not going to move what I've got going on. You can just find yourself. And that wasn't fair. That wasn't good. I'm not proud of that at all. Looking back.
But that's being honest.
It's being honest.
I appreciate you talking about that because I'm telling you, a lot of us women, believe this or not, this is, again, so relatable because a lot of us women, including me, when we are, it's like the mindset and it's like energy. And when we are focused, when we are just so focused on what we think we need and what we want, where it's almost like we have blinders and we don't see at the time, you don't see at the time, oh my gosh, how am I really showing up? When I'm really showing up, I call it kind of boss babe, right? But
Yeah.
then deep down inside, I want a really good man. Were you still thinking, even though you're a boss babe, but were you still thinking, but I still want a man that's going to be loving and kind and respect me? I mean, what was your thought? Or were you thinking at the time, no, men are not like that? But your dad was. So I'm really curious,
Right.
what was that for you?
Yeah. So I think, my dad is the most phenomenal man on the face of the earth. I still am like, I don't know if you've ever done anything wrong in your life. But he's just kind, very like mild-mannered. And just, again, I'm so grateful for the role model that he had in our house. It was my mom, my sister, and me. So he was around girls all the time, but he also was a football coach. So he had 100 and some knuckleheads between the ages of 18 and 22 that he had to deal with.
Yeah.
So he had that, but it was a very like grounding presence. Like I remember that very, very, like it's just like very palpable to me, like how grounding and calm he was. And that's actually when I met my husband for the first time, I had that same feeling. And it was just like the first time I had met him. So it was really like, I'm confused
that
because
safe feeling. It was a safe. Okay.
Yep. Very safe, very calm, and whatnot. So that really was what was interesting to me. I would say that I wanted a family, but I also was open to not having any of my own biological kids. So I was open to people who had children from past relationships or things like that, or even adopting.
That didn't bother you.
Yeah, that didn't bother me. Yeah, didn't bother me at all. So, and I kind of had an inkling that that's how it would be. So it wasn't even it wasn't a fetish or anything. It just was like, for some reason, I don't know if I'm going to have ones of my own, but I do think that I'm going to have ones that feel like my own, right? Which to me is like, adopting or otherwise.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you had that feeling, but you just, you were very open, which is really cool about that.
Thank you.
Like, what I mean? Because usually some people have a different, everything you want is fine, you guys. But I'm just saying that's pretty cool being at that age too, having that feeling of being very open and accepting, if he has a kid, I'm cool with that. Yep. Okay. So then you're 26, you're starting this business, you're in this kind of like boss babe mode, and you already notice that, dating and guys, not so much. But we still have this, because that's what I'm telling you. That's what I want you to say. A lot of us, we can get into our careers and get caught up in, the go, which is great.
Yep.
But when you slow things down, there is still a true desire for real connection, real intimacy, connection, real intimacy, and going from, go, busy to really wanting that. That's a shift. So what happened here? I want to know what's going to happen here. So Missy is, okay, get on my calendar, do my thing.
Right.
How did you meet your husband?
Yes. So was not expecting to that day. I wish it was a day that was like, oh my gosh, I'm so cute. And like, I'm like, ready, it was not that day at all. I was going to Starbucks.
Ladies, let's listen to this. Listen to this, okay? So remember, she just said, listen, I love that. She already just said that there was one of those days that she didn't think that she was all, in her, put together. Okay, so she was off her game. We would say that? Okay, cool.
Yes.
So,
just not thinking anything significant was going to happen that day. And so I'm an entrepreneur, so I work from wherever. And there was one Starbucks that was close to my house, and I would go there to work. I called it my office, and I would go every day. The baristas knew my name. They knew my drink. I would get my drink. I would sit in my normal spot, and I would work. And so a friend of mine was wanting to work with me, and it was a guy. And so we were sitting together, not in any relationship manner, just friends. And so my husband comes in and gets his drink, and he is probably like 27 on the extrovert scale. If it's 1 out of 10, he is making friends with every human he comes into contact with. I'm not even joking. And
oh my God, I'm laughing so hard. No, Jordan, hold on, Jordan. I'm laughing so hard because I'm just picturing you right now. Like, no offense. Like,
totally.
You just seem, you know what I mean? Like, you.
Yep.
You have an adorable personality. But I'm telling you, I really see myself in the Starbucks watching this right now.
Yeah.
I can see you and probably like, what the?
Right. Who is this dude talking to everybody? Like, I had never seen him in here before. So I'm like, okay, he's just,
So you did notice him. You noticed this guy.
I noticed him. Yes, I did notice him. And so then he sat down on the other side of my friend and started talking to my friend, obviously, and whatever else. So I thought they knew each other because I was like, okay, friendly, whatever.
So he just, boom, did it. Came over and started
Came over
talking
and
to this
sat
dude.
talking over my friend. And then I introduced whatever. Then my friend introduced me and I said, hi, I'm Jordan and whatever else. And he was like, oh, hi, la, la, la. And I don't even remember the conversation. It lasted maybe 5 minutes. But again, what I did notice was my energy was like very calm, which again, I'm a pretty high anxiety, go, like you said, kind of person. I'm very neurotic. So
but this was different?
Right. So for me to feel at ease was very interesting to me. So hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I got to get this story. Okay. Yes.
I love that you are already aware of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well,
because usually that's strong because usually when women are in what I call the go, busy, busy, they really do have a hard time, like feeling something different. Like because we're really up in our head when we're in that masculine energy.
Yeah.
So there was something about you that you were able to drop down and kind of like, that's really.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes.
Okay, so then you talked to this guy for a moment.
Yeah, for about 5 minutes. And then I had to get on a call. And so I was going to take it outside. And so I said, whatever, nice to meet you, yada, yada. And he gave me his card, first of all. So his business card. And I was like.
Business card. What was his business card, Jordan, at the time?
So he was doing real estate at the time. Yeah. And so now
you need to buy a house.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, seriously. But I was like, okay, whatever. We only talked for 5 minutes. What can I expect?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So I leave to go outside and talk. And that was our first engagement. So I was thinking okay, first of all, he didn't take my number. So now he wants me to do all this work because he gave me his car. So when I was playing those crazy games, of just okay. Whatever. So I was like, but I'm not going to call him because he is the guy and he has to call me. And so he's going to have to figure that out. And so.
Oh my God, Jordan, wait. Stop. Oh, that's good. That's so good. Girlfriend, let's talk about that.
Yeah. The games we play.
So, oof. But you know what? Can I just tell you something?
Yeah,
to me, that's a really good position you put yourself in. I don't think it was a game. I think it was, I had a whisper here.
Mm-hmm.
He gives me a call, or he gives me his card, but he didn't technically ask me out. And I had a whisper, but if he likes me, he's going to find a way. It's kind of like what you were thinking.
Yes.
Okay, so then what happened?
Yeah.
I got to hear this now.
Yeah, so then it was about 2 weeks later. Hadn't heard anything. Again, I'm going to my office. I'm going to my same Starbucks. I'm like, he knows where I'm at.
Did you already kind of forget about the guy? Or you still? Tell me the truth. Were you still
I want
to see. You're like.
I was getting ready. I was like, okay, he saw me not ready. So now I want to be ready if and when he decides to show up again.
Miss Jordan.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Did that. Yeah. And about 2 weeks went by and had not seen him. And I was like, he knows where I am. I don't understand. So anyway, I changed my profile picture on Facebook. This is relevant. And he commented on my Facebook profile picture. And I was like, wait a second.
Ooh,
Are we friends on Facebook? So I go and we were already friends on Facebook. And I was like, what is going on here? Now, I do have an online business where I'm constantly friending people. And not that I don't pay attention to it, but I'm just like, okay, people are following me and I'm just
Because you already, this was already, like you said, you already started your business, you had a full business, and a lot of your stuff is online. Just real quick, can you just explain, we're going to get into that story again, what happened with him, but just can you talk about real quick your online business? Because you know, what do you do, Mama?
Yeah. So I host a podcast, and then I also run a collaboration network where I connect different business owners to grow their businesses together. So whether that's through podcast swaps or doing Instagram lives together or things like that, just different ways that you can grow your audience along with other people. So those are the two things.
Okay, so that's fabulous. So that
so
makes
meeting
sense.
People all the time.
That so you're meeting people all the time. So you were kind of like, okay, this is really makes sense. Okay, then
totally. So I just friend everybody, right? Because I'm like, I assume I've met you somewhere. So I'm not really looking at who the friends are. And so, but then I look back on when it happened, and it was back in June. So I'd met him in September. And so he had friended me in June. I was like, what happened in June? Now after talking with him, we actually had been to a different event together, and he had saw me that I was speaking at it, and he had saw me and then friended me, but didn't say anything at the event. I did not see him, did not meet him, any of that stuff.
He didn't approach you, nothing.
Did not
he
approach
just saw
me.
you.
Yes, just saw me.
Girl, the power of you, Mama. What? I love it.
So I guess he was thinking, okay, I'm going to get around to seeing her again sometime soon, right? So he commented on my Facebook profile picture, and I was like, okay, I'm going to poke the bear a little bit. And so I'm going to say, like, hey, thanks so much. Like, haven't seen you at Starbucks lately, ... Like, sir.
Oh, ladies. Oh, my gosh. She's going to be your new dating coach. Oh, my God. That's perfect.
Well, thank you. I thought it was nice. And
that is so sexy. No, hold on. We're going to sit with that for a second, too. So, ladies, let me explain what she did. That it was like perfection.
Well, thank you.
As a dating coach, relationship coach, like this is warming my heart.
Great.
So thank you so much. So this is what I always say. When there's a whisper, ladies, when there's a whisper and you because ultimately, let me just make this really clear to us ladies. Do you know that we are the one that get to choose? We get to choose who we decide to be our lovers, our husbands, all that. We don't pursue the man. It's not working like that, because you want the man to also want you and choose you and pursue you. But he ain't going to be doing all that if we don't get a little whisper. So like if you're out and about, right? So if you're out and about, kind of like what Jordan was talking about, but if you're out and about and you've never met this person, and let's say there's a little attraction, all it takes, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, all it takes is let the guy know that you're you don't have to go and pursue him, but let him know something. Right. So the way Jordan did it was perfection. She gets this A, because what I loved about this, she didn't go. Listen, look how this turns out, because let me say this to you. When a man is interested in you, I promise you from the bottom of my heart, he gonna find a way, ladies. Like, you don't ever have to pursue or chase him. He gonna find a way. So this guy found a way. There was men are very direct. They know what they want. He didn't even talk to Miss Jordan. Like, seriously, that's some balls, man. I really love him already. So he didn't even talk to her. That's so sexy. Right. He didn't even talk to you. And he already said, oh, that's it. So then look how this is playing out. So then you're like, okay, then he sees you again. Then he's not sure where you're at because you never called him, Mama. So then you do the little thing. Yeah. Okay, do the thing. Yeah. Okay, so then you send a little Starbucks. Yeah,
say my little comment and be. I wanted it to be like obvious enough to where it's like, I'm putting the ball back in your court, like, and I want you to do something about it. Yeah. And he was like, well, great. Like, when are you planning to be back at like the office? And I was like, tomorrow. And he was like, great, I'll be there. So I was like, okay, oh my gosh. So
you're freaking out. Now you're like, oh shit, what did I get into? Oh shit. Oh no, now he's actually coming. That's different if they're actually coming now.
Right. Exactly. Like, you don't think about, oh, they could say yes, and then they were actually like meeting tomorrow.
Now he's going to consider the meeting tomorrow. Yes.
Right. Exactly. So we met at the same Starbucks, and it was, like typical, like lunchtime-ish, and whatnot. And it was just like a couple hours, like, but it was very intriguing. It was very, again, like warm, felt that same safeness, like in his presence.
Were you attracted to him?
Yes, definitely.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you definitely, so this wasn't, again, this is not no two friends.
No.
This is like, we got some
We're vibing.
attraction up in here.
Yes.
We're vibey. We're attracted to each other. The energy. Okay.
Yes,
So
the
you guys
energy.
both knew what was up. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so, we talked, and it was a good date. Like, it wasn't like fireworks, all that sort of stuff, but it was
you
like,
weren't like, I'm in love.
right.
No.
But it was just like, I'm really enjoying his company. So then we left then, and I believe it was that same, so he finally got my number.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we resolved that. And so he texted me and said, hey, well, I would like to take you on a proper date if you are open to it. And so I said yes. And he took me to, I think it was a lunch date too, which I was like, then I was overthinking, right? Which we do, and be like, he's taking me to lunch again. So that's the second time we're meeting for lunch. Is he like, is this a friends thing? Is this a business thing? Did I misread this?
Yeah. Now you're doubting yourself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So because for some reason lunch is like, I don't know if it's society or whoever said that, but like people are like, oh, if they take you to lunch, like they aren't romantically interested in you. That was something that I had been told. So I was like,
that was already, it's not necessarily true, but that was already in the back of your head. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
so I'm like,
shit,
this is
he's not
two
interested.
lunches.
We're doing
right.
lunch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, let me just hang out. And then actually that was when I officially did the Facebook stalking, because even though, again, we obviously had been connected on Facebook and we had commented to each other. I didn't want to be tainted by whatever his profile was before I went on the date. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm going on a second date, so now I can officially stalk.
Now I can look at him. I'm going to look at him now. Yeah.
So I looked, and definitely that's where I found out that he did have a child, Colin, who was 4 at the time. So I was like, okay, noted. And we didn't talk about it on the first date, which I was okay with. It wasn't I don't think, yeah. So
You didn't feel like he was keeping something from you.
Yeah. Because
it just wasn't. Yeah. It just didn't come up.
Yeah, it didn't come up. And then the second thing I saw was that he was part of a fraternity that I had vowed I would never marry into, which is the Q Dogs. So they're a Black fraternity. They're wild.
Wild? Okay.
They're just known for being crazy and wild and doing outlandish stuff. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like,
you're like, oh man.
So I almost didn't go on that date because he was a part of that fraternity. Because I just was like, I know who you are, like based on, the fraternity.
Right. You already assume you knew everything, but you don't know nothing.
I don't know nothing. So I was like,
ladies, hold on, Jordan. Here, let me say this again. It actually takes time to get to know somebody. It really does. Like, because anybody can show up and they can, have this persona online and stuff. So he could have looked amazing or whatever. But come on, that's what I'm always telling women. I said, listen, you gotta relax a little bit here because it actually takes some time to get to know him. Okay, so there was this part of you. You're like, but let me try.
Right.
Let me see.
So let me just give it another go.
Let me just chill out, calm down. Calm down. Let me just try.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So, because I'm thinking, there are parts of me that I'm sure people are stereotyping or that they think some type of way about me that's not true. So I was like, okay, let me just be better. So went on that date as well, and it went really well.
I love that you were open. I love that you were open.
I tried to stay open really as much as possible.
I love that. I love that you stay open because you needed to give him a chance. Look at me. I'm ready. You're like, Charlene, I married him. Okay, you have to give him a chance.
Right. We already know the end of the story. But so we went to the date, and that's where he told me about his son, Colin. And again, I was like, amazing, great. And of course I had curiosities about, the mother and all that sort of stuff. But we didn't touch.
So I have curiosity. I do have curiosity.
Yeah.
So what was, when he tells you about the son, I want to hear just in general, when he tells you about the son, what was his short story? You know what I mean? Like how long was he with the mom?
Yep.
And what was the relationship with the mom at the time?
Yep. So he shared that they had been together for about 6 months, and then she got pregnant, and they weren't together really during the pregnancy at all, and were never together when Colin was even born. So it wasn't a marriage. It wasn't like that.
Kind of hookup-ish, kind of like,
Yeah.
friends with benefits, maybe?
Yeah. Like kind of had been chilling for a little bit, but like not really exclusive, but like just kind of whatevering. And so, so that was the story. And knowing that Colin was 4 at the time, again, I'm like, okay, just like you're starting to math and you're starting to be like, okay, well, how long has he been dating and whatever else, if like they haven't really been together, but also he is young-ish. So, but I didn't ask a ton of those questions initially. I just really knew how long they had dated, what their relationship is kind of like now. They co-parent. It was 50-50 at the time. And so, so it kept it pretty light. Again, it's so like,
it was pretty light. So it wasn't anything heavy. He was like, we're cool. And he was, obviously had 50-50 custody with his son. Yes. Okay, cool. Yep. So it wasn't like a crazy story. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so, and that date went really well too. And I was like, okay, like, I'm actually really intrigued by this guy. And I'm not intrigued often. I'm not impressed by much. I'm not, there were guys that would go on dates with me and be like, oh, I have like this many, millions in stocks for this. And I have this second house, or I have this whatever. We can I can vacation with you. And I'm just like, no, like I'm not really interested in all of that extra stuff. Like I want somebody that I'm going to enjoy, that's a true companion, that like I love being around. Because again, whenever I was in relationships before, I never missed anybody, like I just was like, okay, bye. Like I'm going to conferences, or I'm going here, I'm going there, like see you later. Did not miss people. And so again, in the further relationship with Marcus and I, like I would miss him. Like I would be like, man, like I want him around, which was very odd. And my friends were like, you don't want anybody around. Ooh. So this is interesting.
And so they knew, oh, she's falling in love, because you had to so there was something like you said earlier about, so what is his name? Marcus?
Marcus. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there was something about him that you even said earlier on, very first thing, that there was a safeness with him. Like he felt like you could, you just felt safe. Your body was like, I feel this guy is not a bad person. Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so that already was like a little but the reality of him, and not only feeling that, was that you were putting yourself also in a position to allow yourself to be vulnerable with him and do things differently than you've done before. Because if you've never done that before, there had to have been something with this guy particularly, because you will know. That's what I tell women all the time. Your body's going to tell you. Your mind is going to say everything crazy. It's going to be like, oh, hell, yeah, no, yeah, I'll go to that. But when you slow down, your body was telling you. So there was something for you with him that you were able to lean and really be vulnerable, sounds like what I'm learning from you. Is that true? Or am I just going ahead?
No, it's 100% true. Yeah, because I think...
So you started missing...
Yeah, I started missing him, and we both are very intentional people. And so pretty much from jump, we basically said, okay, we don't want to rush into anything and whatnot necessarily, but we do want to be intentional in the conversations we're having and whatnot. So, from there we were very like, open. And I think it was maybe our 3rd or 4th date even, where he actually did share pretty much the entirety of the situation with him and Colin's mom. And it is not rainbows and butterflies, and whatnot. And it was a lot. And even to this day, looking back, there even is, then I've experienced, what I've experienced, being married to him. But I really appreciated that. Again, there was intentionality behind that. And then I was sharing, some of the hardships that I'd gone through and was really vulnerable with. And so we just sat there and like, we both were kind of just like, these are real parts of us. And if you aren't okay with this, or if I'm not okay with this, like we can walk away and just be okay. And like, not have hard feelings about it. Like, I'm not going to judge you, whatever, like, and it's going to be okay. And like what we've had so far has been amazing, and we can just let it be. And so it was probably like a 4 or 5, 6 hour conversation. It was a very long conversation. And at the end of it, we both just kind of looked at each other and we're just like, okay, we still want to see where this goes. And that was really,
You still want to be together.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah. And at that point we haven't even kissed. Like we hadn't even crossed a physical barrier.
You haven't nothing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well,
Wow,
what's
so
going to
you
happen?
guys already been dating and getting to know each other and everything, but you haven't really, okay.
Yeah. So I hadn't
And
kissed or anything.
was that intentional or was that just kind of like naturally just happening?
I think that was just naturally happening. Again, from his point of view, he just was like, I'm going to, like, I want it to be a moment. Like, I don't want it to just be like, okay, it's at the end of a date and so we should do it. And actually our first kiss story is really cute. So there was a leak in my bathroom, in my master bathroom, and it was driving me nuts. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have some random guys in my house. And I hate like having that. And he was like, oh, well, I'll take care of it. And when a guy says I'll take care of it, here's what I assume. You're going to give me a list of names that I still have to call, that I still have to like manage, that I still have to deal. Like when you say take care of it, I think
that's where that was you thinking.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, fine. Like give me the names. And yeah, that's super helpful. And he was like, no, like I have some guys that I know that are great and they've worked on my house. And so I'll like schedule it for you. What time are you available tomorrow? And I can come over if you want. So that way you don't feel uncomfortable with them. I know them and they're good guys, but like if you're uncomfortable, I can come and just hang out with you while they're there. And I was like, what? Like,
is this you're like, is this really happening? Like,
right.
Is this really happening?
Like you're actually taking this off my plate and like being very considerate. So that was wild, but I was like, okay, let me not block the blessings. So he came over to the house, brought the guys, they went upstairs. And so I love jigsaw puzzles. And so he had brought a jigsaw puzzle for us to do while the guys were working on my house. And I was like, I see what you're doing there. And again, was just very attentive, like took that extra effort, right? To be like, okay, we're going to be sitting there together. And what's something that she likes to do? She likes to puzzle. He does not like to puzzle.
Oh yeah. Talk about you ladies. Look at this. Yeah. No, not only that he was like, okay, I'm going to fix this, but not just fix it. I'm going to get it done. So I'm going to lead this. Yes. Not only am I going to lead this, I'm going to bring her a puzzle and we're going to sit down and do what she likes to do. So I'm going to see so he's very intentional. Yes,
very intentional, very attentive, very thoughtful. And so we're sitting there doing puzzles. And then all of a sudden, like, it looked like he was going to come around and like start working on a puzzle area next to me or whatever. So I was like, okay. And whatever else. And I kind of like look up and like he comes in for the kiss, like out of nowhere. And it was like so wonderful. And I was like, he could propose and we could just be married now. Like it's just like, let's just be done. Like, is there a ring in the puzzle box? Cause we might as well.
No, seriously. Was it one of those kisses? Come on, Jordan. Was it like,
yeah.
The stars. Oh, mama, you got me goosey.
Totally. Yeah. So it was.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty incredible.
Ladies, that's what I'm talking about. You want your kiss to be like, yes.
Yeah. Oh, so it was pretty amazing. So yeah. And then pretty much from there, we're very intentional. I hadn't met Colin at this point, his son. And I didn't meet him until close to Christmas, and whatnot. And we had decided, okay,
so how long were you guys dating?
So we had met in September, middle of September. And then, our first kiss was like middle-ish of October. Yep. And then, we've been dating for about 4 months. And we had decided, like, again, let's wait a couple months. And then, if we're really going to go for this thing, then, I'll introduce you. And I was so scared. And I'm like, why am I scared of a 4-year-old? But just like, again, if I really love this person and then Colin doesn't like me, then it's over. Right. And so
She's like, oh no, like, right. I know. I can imagine the pressure, lady. I know. I can only imagine. Like, ladies, I can imagine, like, if you're like, you like this guy and you know he has kids and then you don't have children. Right. So you're like, oh, okay, so I don't have children, but he has children. But, the little boy. Yeah, I totally get that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And Marcus is like, don't worry about it. He's going to love you. And I'm like, that's what everybody says. Like, this is not like reality. And so we went to the museum because he loves the museum and he still does. And so we went and we were pretty much friends from jump. Like he took to me extremely well. We still are very, very close, which I'm so grateful for. And
How
I
old is
remember
he
we
now?
were like, he's 9.
He's
Yeah,
not.
he's
Oh,
9.
I love it.
And so we were like running around the museum or whatever else. And then he had like seen some bugs or tarantulas or something. And he like came back and he like grabbed my hand and like wanted to show me the tarantulas. And it was like, again, like one of those moments that's just like, we will forever be connected. Like it just,
Yeah,
is
you're like,
what it is.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I love him. He loves me. I'm in. Yeah. Oh, you're like, it's
Exactly.
meant to be.
Yeah, it
Right?
was.
You're
Yeah.
like, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
So then, you meet, hold on. So you're dating the guy, you meet the guy, you know, you guys are like taking your time, you meet the son, everything's great.
Yep.
And so obviously now we're in a serious relationship now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So are you thinking now marriage?
I'm thinking that if like we're going to go down this road, like let's really go down this road. And so what that meant to Marcus and I is, okay, we are exclusive. And then we actually, I want to say like at month 6 or 7, we actually went to couples therapy, not because we needed it per se or anything like that. But again, we both are very intentional. And so it's like, okay, if we can set ourselves up for success, like we just want to get it all out there. We just want to have the conversations, and we're not going to be able to anticipate what goes on in our marriage, right? We don't know all the hardships that we're going to face. However, we do want to really get to know each other and go into the depths. So we went to couples therapy for a couple months, and it was amazing and it was awesome. And just, again, really helped us to discover stuff even about ourselves that would be helpful then in the relationship, right? So
I believe in that so
amazing.
much. No, I want to say something about that. Like, I believe in especially, I actually, listen, I don't talk about this often. I have a beautiful course that is, I don't really talk about a lot because it's for women that are getting married. And it's called, Happily Ever Married, having the conversations before we get married. Because I'm a big believer on certain conversations and what you should do before to set the tone. Because, you know, life will happen and you don't know, you don't know, you know, things and stuff. So marriage is a whole other place.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful. So I always believe that if you have these conversations and you set it up and you set that from the beginning, it really can help you along the way. So I think that's amazing when couples decide to do that. And that's something that I provide. Yeah. I get that. So amazing. I love that you guys did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then it gave you guys an opportunity to learn about each other. Like you said, you have to live with each other, get married, but you have this opportunity to have these questions and do these things that you weren't even going to know it was going to come up, you know, things that you're not thinking about.
Yep, exactly.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So then how long were you guys together before you got engaged?
Yeah. So we were together exclusively for exactly a year, but again, a year and 4-ish months.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So.
And then boom, then you get engaged.
Yep. Then again, I'm very detective. I can pick up on stuff. So he knew that if you were going to ask me to be yours, you were going to have to be stealth with it. And so he did it on our anniversary because he knows that if there were any other time that he tried to do something special, I would be like, what's happening?
What's up? Right. So you didn't think, so you thought it was just an anniversary. You weren't thinking it was an engagement. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So was he able to surprise you?
Yes. So he waited until 10:30 at night too. So then again, I was like, okay, well, again, it's over. This is a wonderful anniversary. All is well. And again, he incorporated puzzles, right, with the proposal, which was super cute. He got 10 100-piece puzzles, which was very ambitious of him. But anyway, we got 10 100-piece puzzles of pictures of us on different, when we went to Rome together, or Colin's first day of school, of just moments that we had. And so we were doing puzzles together. We'd gone to Napa before, and he had shipped a couple bottles of our favorite wine from there. So it was super great and very thoughtful. And it was just us spending the day together, which was perfect. I didn't really want all the fanfare and stuff. And so we went to dinner, and then we came back and we slow danced, which is something that we still do to this day. Just when we're really stressed or just lots going on, we'll just sit say like, hey, do you want to slow dance? And so we'll just slow dance with each other and just put on some
Jordan,
music.
that's
And
fabulous,
it's really great. So we were slow dancing and we were bantering, and I don't know. He was just like, oh, well, like, how long do you really think you're going to like, want to be with me? And I was like, forever. Like, I know that I want to be with you forever. And he was like, yeah, me too. And then he got the ring out and was like, Jordan Hillary, like, I love you. I want you forever. And will you be my wife? So I was like, oh, wow, that question. And then like, let me catch up here.
Like, oh, yeah. You're like, Charlene, you're clapping. I was still like, what? We gonna get married? I thought we were just going to sleep. What the hell is going on? We just did.
Exactly. So it was a really beautiful moment. And then we called each other's parents and shared. And of course, they all knew what was happening. And so again, it was like 10:30 at night when this is happening. So they had all like just been waiting up for the call from us and whatnot. So it was pretty special.
Oh, mama. You know what I love about this? So I love that. There's so much I love here. What I love about this story, no, seriously, I love your story because
Thank you.
I love that you were a very, independent, empowered woman, you doing your thing. You already said, Charlene, I had a lot of I wasn't sure about relationships because of how I grew up and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I love how you allowed yourself, seriously, to trust yourself, to allow yourself to say, okay, let me give this an opportunity. Because if you did not do that, you would not be in this relationship with the love of your life, right?
Totally.
You would have, a lot of us, we don't even realize that sometimes we shut down really good men.
Yeah.
Because we're not open, or we get afraid, or we shut down, or like you said, you're avoidant, how that plays a part and stuff. So I want you to listen to this, ladies. I want you to also understand, it does take, vulnerability. It does. And it is scary. Mm-hmm. It is actually scary because there's no guarantee in life. And I'm sure, this is the hardest part. I know we've already been talking for a long time, and I really wanted to get into the second part of the story, but I want to say something. You can have a great relationship and great love, and, but relationships, you work on relationships. They grow, they Very change. Much. There's no perfect nothing. There's no perfect, we're hearing her story. And I'm sure, a question I was going to ask you was, you get married, things are great, you love this guy, but then life happens, right? There's no, you already said. So going from being engaged, being in love, being open, knowing that there's no perfect anybody. Yeah. You can have someone that's truly aligned with you, but there's no perfect nobody.
Yep.
But the reality is you get married, and I don't know, I've never heard anything about your story, but I can imagine. Then you get married, and when would you say after you got married, how many years, was it quickly right when you get married, or was it maybe a year or two when you noticed, okay, we need another little adjustment here. We need a little adjustment here.
Yeah. Well,
isn't that interesting? Actually, I just know this because I know relationships. I know relationships.
Right.
Obviously. You're like, girl, I know relationships because this is normal. This is very normal. So what was that? What was that?
It was about 2 months after our engagement. So I didn't even wait until our marriage. So we got engaged January of 2020. And so naturally, March 2020 was when the pandemic really hit. Around that same time, we had gone to court to gain more custody of Colin, and we had won majority custody of Colin. So already we're having to adjust to having Colin the majority of the time. And so going from 50-50 to now really only having Thursday nights off, and then every other weekend. So that was an adjustment. For sure. Knowing that we were going into the court and that's what we were wanting, but it's then another thing when you're
reality is you're like, oh, so now we're really doing it. Yeah.
Right. This is a whole family. Yeah. So then about 3 months after that, my husband unfortunately lost his job. He worked in travel software. So obviously with the pandemic hitting, he got laid off, like thousands of people in his company.
So many people.
We got engaged. We're like, we're going to get married. The honeymoon stage is coming. And it was hard. It was an extremely hard season. And, we basically, called off the wedding, not because of anything between us, but just like,
no, the money.
Right. It's like, okay, we got to figure out how we're going to navigate this, as a couple. And so we'll figure out the wedding stuff later. And so, we navigate. And a couple months later, he got another job and we're kind of getting into the cadence again and whatnot. And then it was kind of like, okay, well, do we want to have a full blown wedding again? Because there's masks and it's like all this stuff. And I was like, I don't want to have masks, as vain as it sounds. I don't want to have masks in my photos. I don't want to remember it like this. So I just remember waking up on a Monday and being like, do you want to get married this week? And Marcus is like, what is happening? Are you okay? Like,
what just happened? Yeah. He's like, is she okay?
I'm very type A, like to plan things out. And so, but I was just like, I know. Like, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
So you knew, okay. Mama, this is it. You're like, right. This is my man. I love him.
Yep.
The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
Yep.
Like, there's something here about, okay.
Yep. So I knew, and he knew too, right? But I just was like, we were just kind of still waiting it out. And I was just like, I don't need to wait anymore. Like, I already know, I've known. And so he was like, okay. And so we eloped that Friday. And
no!
Yeah, it was wild. Wow. I like booked an Airbnb really fast. Like, I found a photographer. I got my favorite makeup artist to come. Actually, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law actually made my dress. It was beautiful. Yes. It was like sequined. I mean, it was like very intricate. They both actually like are, my sister-in-law's in the fashion industry, and then my mother-in-law has always known how to sew. So like they know what they're doing. Right. But it was so special. And yeah, we literally, went somewhere for 2 hours. I had one of my friends actually fly in because I knew that I thought that she had, her, what's it called? Officiant license. Funny enough, she didn't actually have it, but she got it overnight on the internet so that she could make it happen for me, which was so sweet. So sweet. Amazing. And so she came, officiated, and Colin was a part of it, obviously. And he was, so proud. And it was so beautiful. It was like everything, he's a 12 on the extrovert. So he's like, we're still having a big party, just so you know. But I was so full that day. Like, it was, again, that grounding feeling of, I know that this is the right decision. And so, again, even amidst still the hardship and figuring everything out, I knew that it was
You're
the
following
right decision.
Your gut. You're following your gut.
Yep. 100%.
I love that. You're following your body. You're for like, you know what? Yeah. Again, shit happens, life happens,
Totally.
But there was something about this man in you that you followed yourself and you trusted yourself and you leaned totally in. That is, I love this. Oh my God. Okay. I know. Don't kill me. I'm keeping you a long time, but hold on. I want to wrap this up. Okay, cool. I want to wrap this up juicy. So fast forward. How are you guys now? What's life like?
Right. So yeah, it's been 3 years, and again, there's still been hardship. He was a part of another tech layoff, like about a year or two later, and whatnot. So that was again tough, and wasn't performance related at all. It was having to do with outside circumstances, and then actually we went to court again, and now we have Colin full time. And whatnot. So there were a lot of things that, again, still were struggles and still were like very real. And I kid you not, like throughout all of this, all of the hardships and things like that, like we still laugh at night with each other. Even if like we had the hardest day, again, we're either slow dancing, we just don't talk and we just go to bed, or we're laughing, or we're just finding a way to stay connected, which I really appreciate, because it can sometimes feel just like, okay, literally everything is haywire right now. And yet like you and we still are like, we got this. Like we can get through anything,
you, babe.
Oh
my God, we're going to song.
So we're doing really well. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh,
yeah.
Mama.
So yeah, we bought our dream house that we're renovating right now. So it should be done later this year, which we're really excited for. And, we're doing well. And
you're doing good. Life is good.
Yeah, life is really good. Mm-hmm.
If you had to, let me ask you this, for for my ladies that are listening to this message today, like I said, I think they're just going to relate to this story so much, being in that energy and, wanting it, but not, like, I'm not sure. And then really finding someone and going through and look at you telling us a story. And it's not like this story was, everything was perfect. He's perfect. No. That's not what I heard today.
Yeah.
I heard, he's human. I'm human. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But he's my human. He's my person that I want to be in alignment with, because not everyone's a match.
Totally.
Not everyone's a match.
Yep.
There's certain people that go together. So them hearing this story, what would you say to women that feel like, you know what, Jordan, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like you used to feel. Like I don't,
right.
I don't know. I don't really need a man. I kind of want one, but I'm doing my own thing. I'm not really feeling it. I don't even know if there's a guy out there for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I can very much relate. And I think the first thing to think about is, again, when I was, really just being home and then going to Starbucks, like, was I making myself available to even meet people? And so I think that, as career-oriented, business-oriented women, like, a lot of times we're not even, like, going anywhere to, like, make it an opportunity. And I'm not saying you have to go to, like, bars and stuff, but just, like...
No, but you got to get out. Jordan, no, you have to say this. This is good. You got to put yourself out there.
Totally.
You got to get out. No,
because
I love that you're saying that.
Otherwise, you aren't going to meet anybody, because you're literally going into...
He's not knocking on the door.
Right.
Right, Jordan? He's not going to come knocking on the door.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's definitely, and if he is knocking on the door, like, is he a creep? Is he like, what are we,
Yeah, like, what happened there? Yeah.
So getting out there, allowing yourself to, again, be seen. It can be, at the park. It can be wherever, right? And then secondly to that is, again, being open. And, you mentioned that about me a few times. And I would say that Marcus got the most open version of me, because I had been so closed off and super avoidant and all of that stuff. And then the therapy, I really recognized my patterns and was a lot more open. And so instead of going on just first dates, I would go on seconds and thirds. And even still, if that was then at the third date, it's like, okay, after 3 dates, we really aren't compatible, then I feel okay with, like, letting that go, versus just a lot of ones and dones. So I think you mentioning the time piece of, like, it does take some time. It's not a super efficient process. And I am an efficiency, like, nerd. So, I don't like things to take a lot of time, but I think that allowing more, and also just, like, being super upfront. Like, I don't think that people need to hide what they really want and pretend like it's not really what they want. Like, if there are things about your life that you really want, like children, like a certain lifestyle, all of those sorts of things. Like, I was very open with Marcus about that too. I'm like, I like nice vacations. So if you are somebody who, like, you want to backpack and go to hostels, we are not aligned.
And that's okay. That's not me. That's not me. Yeah.
And so, and that's okay.
So you were able to really show up yourself.
100%. Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. And because otherwise, again, you're not allowing that vulnerability to take place, because you're trying to keep up with this, again, facade or whatever. And that's exhausting, first of all. But second of all, it doesn't actually get you the results you want. It doesn't actually provide you somebody that loves you for you, flaws and all, right? It really doesn't set you up for success. And so again, hopefully hearing my story and hearing the intentionality that I had with Marcus and he had with me, and that, again, it wasn't just like frolicking in the park and whatever else, but it was intentional. It was consistently checking in. It was like, hey, if you're not good with this, like, that's okay. And we can just, be done. As sad as we both would be, but it was taking each of those steps together. And I think that's where you can really create something incredible, because there's no way that I believed that I would have the marriage that I have today. I just really did not. And Marcus is 110% my person. And
Yes,
it's just,
Marcus.
yeah.
We love Marcus.
He would be dying right now a little bit that I'm talking about him, but.
Oh, I love it. Oh, tell Mr. Marcus we love it. I really love how he acts already. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
He's pretty great.
So if you want to get yourself a man like that, a good man, you know what I mean, that's completely crazy in love with you, that is willing to work through stuff, willing to like, you know, hey girl, I'm in it with you.
Yep.
Be open.
Be open.
Like, you know, be vulnerable, get yourself out there. Because like I said, no, I tell women all the time, you have to be open. You can't, if you're so like closed off, like honestly, Jordan, if you didn't also, I love that little sexiness part that when you said, when you saw him on the face, that was so sexy. When you saw him on the Facebook and then, no, it was.
Thank you.
Like, and you're like, you know what I mean? That's being open, ladies. Like, seriously, don't think that just because you're beautiful or just because you think a guy likes you, that he's just, that you don't have to put in two. Right. It takes two people. You got to both be like that. But you know what? When you're open and you're allowing yourself to meet different people, you know, something can happen. I promise. Because there's somebody out there for you. I promise.
Yeah. Oh, totally. So be open and
so Jordan, this
enjoy
has been,
the process.
Oh, be open. Enjoy the process. Mama. How can people, honestly, how can ladies like stay in your world and follow you? What's the best place they can reach you?
Yes. So I'm an Instagram gal. I love Instagram. And so I'm at Systems Saved Me. That's my business name. So you can come hang out with me there. It'll be me and my DMs chit-chatting with you and whatnot, because I just love talking with people there. And then also I have a podcast of my own. It's just audio, but you can check that out. Apple, Spotify, all the places. And it's also called Systems Saved Me. I try and make it easy.
Oh, fabulous. I love that. Oh my goodness. You know what, Mama, thank you for being here today. You had such a great story. It was so inspiring. It was so exciting. I just loved hearing this story. You know, the crazy thing is every time when I interview women, I really, truly love the story so much that I get off of these conversations. Like, oh, I want to ask her this. I want to ask her that. I want to know. So, but I think, I know things are going to come back up, but I think we covered a lot. I know there's so much more to cover, but I think we covered a lot.
We did.
But thank you for being here. I can't wait to women to hear this. And you were amazing.
Well, thanks so much, Charlene. I really appreciate you having me. This was great.
That's a wrap. Wow. I loved how intentional Jordan and Marcus were, and how from the beginning they were able to be raw and real and do the work to see if they truly had alignment with one another. And guess what? They did. And now can actually say they are happily married. If you're loving this podcast and these incredible conversations, please hit the subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. Don't miss an episode, because each week I'll be bringing on guests and experts who will share their knowledge about love, dating, and relationships so you can apply it into your own life. I'll see you next week. And until then, cheers to great love.